Holy cow! You are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Holy cow, I can't even believe there are so many people in chat. And already, I'm getting a nice audio loop. There we go, that's better. Wow, thank you so much for coming. There's so many people in chat. Can you hear me right now? Is my mic okay? I'm seeing audio was too low. I don't know if that was for the clip or for me talking. But oh my gosh, thank you for being here. This is super exciting. Great to have all of you in chat here today. I'm sure some of you have a lot of questions. You're thinking, who is this guy that I'm looking at? What is Twitch? What am I even doing here? Why are we even doing any of this? It's Valentine's Day. The Olympics are on. Why am I sitting in front of my computer watching this guy? And we're going to get to all those answers in just a second. But before we do, I thought, since this is our first ever online meeting at our digital lodge, which is way too high-tech midnight, I agree, but it's what we got. I thought we would call this to order the way that we probably should. If you know the actions, please follow along at home.
All right.
Quando, Omni, Flunkus, Moritati. If you could please bow your heads for the man's prayer.
I'm a man, but I can change if I have to, I guess.
All right, now we are officially in session. Thank you all for being here once again. Really appreciate. I can see the chat is already rolling, you guys. Some of you already know what you're doing here on Twitch and you're chatting away. Appreciate that. Yeah, wanted to start by answering some of the questions you might have even coming here so we can start the episode very soon, but kind of all be on the same page. So first of all, who am I? Some of you might have been coming here expecting to see a guy with a beard. I'm not red-green. This is not what a shorn red-green face looks like. If you want to read about me a little bit more, below me there's a tab that says the About section. It talks a little bit about who I am. But in terms of why I'm doing a red-green stream and why you should care at all, maybe, is that I am actually Red-Green Jr. So my name is Dave. Nice to meet you. My dad is Steve Smith, who is the creator of the Red Green character, the Red Green show. We played Red Green on the show. He's the guy you're familiar with and that you know. I'm Dave Smith. I'm his son. And my brother Max is actually in channel as well. He's a moderator in this channel, RGJR Max. Everybody can say hi to Max. He's over there. If you get out of line in chat, I'm sure you'll hear from him. When the show started in 1990, I was 11 years old. And when the show finished in 2005, if my math is correct, I was 26. And so for all of those years, I worked on the show in different capacities. So when it began, I was kind of a grip, a best boy, if you will. Although, you know, actually, probably to be honest, Max was probably the best boy. I think I was always second best boy, I would say, but second best boy. And then by the time, you know, the show was ending in 2005, I was actually writing for the show. I wrote for the show for 4 seasons. So I kind of did everything a little bit in between as well over the years. And so I have a lot of memories of the show and kind of behind the scenes stuff. I'm hoping that as we do this stream together, you will ask questions. I'll be able to tell some stories that I remember, and we can have some interaction. That you can interact with me, and that you can interact with each other. I think that would be a lot of fun. In terms of what is this, for those of you who are not used to Twitch, haven't done this before, this is, oh, I just saw a question, Lead Poison, producer as well, Dave. My uncle Dave produced. I think he was executive producer. I may have had an associate producer on one of the things that we did with PBS, but other than that, the production credit that you see on the show is my uncle, who's David C. Smith, and you'll see the writing credit. That's me as David T. Smith. But good question. But yeah, this is Twitch, and so essentially what this is this is live. I'm actually sitting here talking right now, or actually probably about 15 seconds ago, because there's a bit of lag on the internet. But, you know, I know this has been so polished and so smooth so far that you're thinking that, you know, we must have filmed this video a week ago and done 30 takes and picked the best one. But no, this may surprise you, but this is actually me off the cuff just talking to a little camera in a room. And as you guys talk to me, I will be able to read the chat. I will be able to respond to you. You guys can talk to each other in the chat room as well. And that's what this is. If you're a new person to Twitch, you haven't really been on a channel before, we would appreciate a follow. There's a button above the video over here. It's like a purple follow button. I'd love for you to click that so you can follow the channel. The more follows we get, the more notoriety our channel gets, and that way other Red Green fans who are on Twitch will be able to find us, which would be great. And also, if you follow, you will get emails whenever we go live on this channel, whenever we're streaming on this channel. And this channel will always be streaming red-green content. So you know when you come, you're going to be able to see various red-green things. Also, you know, the main thing that this is supposed to be interactive. So this chat room over here that some of you have been talking in, please don't be shy about chatting. You just click your cursor in the little chat area and you type in something that you think is interesting or witty, or just because you think surely it's your turn to talk by now. Please go over there and talk and interact with us and make your ideas heard. Yeah, exactly, Midnight. I guessed really well last week. Ooh. Oh, I like it. Okay. But yeah, so one thing we would like to have in chat, again, just before the episode gets started, just want to kind of go over some of the chat rules a little bit. The ethos of the show, the attitude of the show, was quite PG. We'd always get, you know, fan mail from people saying we love that we can watch the show, we can sit and enjoy it with our kids, and we're not worried about what they're going to see and what they're going to hear. And so for our chat here, we want to have the same thing. We want it to be positive. We want people to, we definitely, you know, we encourage sarcasm and humor and all that stuff, and you'll hear me talk like that at times. But please keep it kind and good-hearted, just like the show was. You know, we don't want swearing or any of that kind of stuff. If you do try to drop F-bombs in channel, Max will drop the ban hammer on you, I'm sure. You know, Nightbot, our cyborg moderator, will do the same, but hopefully we don't have to do that. Hopefully you guys can come and just keep it clean and good-hearted, and that's what we'd like to have in our chat. Also, if you have a question for me specifically, because I'm watching chat as well, it would be great if you can actually direct questions to certain users in chat by typing the @ symbol, which for me is Shift-2, like, you know, the email address, something at something. The @ symbol and then that username. So my username is RedGreenJuniorTV. So if you put @RedGreenJuniorTV space and then your question, that will bold it for me in chat, and I'll be able to see it, and there'll be a better chance that I'll be able to answer it. Sometimes people ask questions and they just want chat to answer it, or they're just sort of saying it to be funny, and I might not see that go by. But if you have something for me, put @RedGreenJuniorTV in it, and that would really help me. Also, please don't post a link in chat. I'm sure you might have some very interesting cat videos that you think we should all see, but we don't like links in chat because we have no way to veto the content of where those links take people to. I don't want someone coming into chat, clicking on a link they see in the chat room, and being taken to somewhere that they didn't want to go and be upset at me for it. And because I can't veto all the links, we're just going to go with no links. But if you do have something you want to send me, if you do a killer Red impersonation or a Harold impersonation, or you've done some kind of handyman corner in your backyard, or you fixed something on your car with duct tape or whatever, please send that to me. You can tweet it to me @RedGreenJuniorTV. You can email it to me, redgreenjuniortv@gmail.com. I would love to get submissions from you guys. And then next week when we stream at 9 o'clock on Wednesday night, I can take what you sent me and show it on chat, in stream, and the rest of us can point at it and laugh. Because, I mean, that's what the internet is for, right? So that would be awesome if you guys wanted to send stuff. Just don't post links in this chat, but you can send it to me in a little bit. I'm seeing some questions in chat. Let me just finish. I'm just going to finish one more thing, and then I'll get to I'll get to answering. Thank you for already figuring out the @RedGreenJuniorTV. That's awesome. And that last question is just, why are we doing this? And I was kind of thinking about, you know, trying to explain why are we going to do a Twitch channel. But I think this piece of artwork answers it better than I could. This is something that a fan of ours named Jim Jackson, who is like a super fan of the show, super friend of the show, he's made lots of different things and given them to us over the years that have been featured in the show. This is like a possum award. On the top is like a golden possum. Hold it up here, you can see lots of cool stuff on there. So you might say to me, Dave, why do you like this particular trophy so much? Is it because of the golden possum on top? No, that's not why. Is it because of the artistic use of duct tape on the top? No, that's not why. Is it because of the beautiful wood stained to look like marble? No, that's not it either. Is it because of the hammer hammering in a screw? Because you've screwed up the job so bad that now you got to use a hammer on the screw, which I think is a lovely touch. But it's not that either. Or is it the little mini dad of mine here in this amazing replica of the possum van? It's actually not that either. My favorite thing about this trophy is the plaque on it. This says, Possum Award. Thanks for 8 years of quality family entertainment from your thousands of fans.
Remember, women don't mind you handsome. We should at least find you handy.
Thank you, Handy. Appreciate that. I like that because it's kind and it's nice and it's appreciative and it's thankful. I also like it because we did 15 years of the show. And this plaque thanks us for 8 of them. Which goes to show you that even our super fans only like about half of our content. But no, seriously, actually Jim gave this to us after our 8th season, so he wasn't trying to insult us by saying that. But what I'm trying to say here is our fans are capable of awesome, creative, interesting things. And most of the time, we're the only ones who get to see them or interact with them. And so my hope on this channel is that by you being able to interact with me and you being able to interact with each other, that we can spread the love, you know? Because after all...
Remember, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together.
We are all in this together, you know? I'll boost that audio a little bit so you can hear it. All right. So that's who I am, that's what this is, and that's why we're doing it. I see some questions in chat, so I'm going to try to take some of them now. Super Goofy Man says, Red Green Junior TV, I've always wanted to know, is your dad anything like Red in real life? My dad is... Red is in my dad. He's a part of my dad. But there's more to my dad than that, I would say. So at times he's similar. You know, if you have one of those Venn diagrams or something, you could probably figure it out. Yeah. So, you know, my dad has that in him, that creativity, that whimsical nature, that sense of humor, that sense of, you know, he's going to just try to go ahead and fix it.
We examine those 3 little words that men find so hard to say.
You guys in your alerts, this is fantastic. You know, even to this day, I mean, he's still, he tinkers, you know, he likes taking engines apart. If the fridge isn't working, he doesn't call a guy, he just starts messing with the fridge until something bad or good happens. Obviously, you know, he's a more complex person than the Red Green character is, but there's definitely similarities, and you know, it didn't come out of nowhere. Driver 270 says, how's your dad? He's very well. Thank you for asking. Very good. Just talked to him today. Bearskin Rug says, would you prefer if our questions stayed on topic, or can I ask you odd things like if you remember the McPizza? I don't mind if you're off topic. McPizza, that was my order back in the day. I don't know why they got rid of that. I order that every time. So I'm still mad about that. So thank you for bringing up that past pain. Lazy Penguin says you should allow links. I've never seen an issue with it on nice channels like this one. The community is pretty good at self-policing in good groups like this. Lazy, well, think about it. Thank you for the suggestion. Again, we're just kind of getting started, so I'm just going with what's sort of a safe thing to do at the moment. But I appreciate that note. Claudette says your store and Facebook links are broken if you didn't know. Well, that doesn't sound good. Driver says the audio's too quiet. I'm assuming that's on the clip. Driver says audio sample is much better now. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. There's one McDonald's in Ohio that still serves the McPizza. Well, I might have to make a road trip for that. That sounds amazing. All right, so I asked my dad for anything he wanted me to mention before this episode about sort of season 1, episode 1. I'm going to read that blurb, and then let's get going. It's almost 20 after already, and we haven't started the episode, so let's do that. My dad wrote this. I want you to try to keep this in your mind when we start the episode afterwards. Here's what he kind of wanted to say and make sure we knew before we started watching. He says this. The very first shoot day for the series was December 10th, 1989. We went to the Nash Farm on the Hamilton Escarpment and shot 26 winter poems. Everything was done on a shoestring budget. We'd shoot 8 Ranger Gourds in a day and then drop them into various episodes. Same with Hap and all of the guests. We'd do all the campfire songs for the season in one night. No such thing as take 2, and you could tell. In the first season, the only guys in the studio were Red and Harold. Everything else was shot on location. There was no live audience until the 3rd season. We needed to be able to shoot material for a full 8-hour shift, and an audience would never allow that. Even the lodge set was recycled. It looks like logs, but if you look closely, you can see that it's bricks painted to look like wood. For the show to be even a modest hit was a total miracle. Well, I think it was a total miracle because I would say it was more than a modest hit. I do remember them painting that set. That set was from an old show my parents did called Comedy Mill, where the kind of basement set of it was all this kind of brick basement. I think they took those and just painted them to look like wood, even though it was actually brick, which is amazing. Okay. We are going to start our episode now. So this is how I'd like to do it. I'm going to start rolling the episode. I will kind of stop and start and talk at certain times. If you have a question, please throw it up. And again, I'll pause and try to answer it when I think it's a good time to do that. We're probably going to take, an episode is usually about 22 to 23 minutes long. We'll take longer than that because we're going to be pausing and interacting during it. But that's kind of what this experience is supposed to be like. So we'll just see how we go. So without further ado, and I'll pay attention to chat if the audio levels are still too low. But here we go. Now, just before I start it, I just want to say, keep your eye on the opening to the show. First, there's a little opening for our channel. Don't worry about that. But when the actual show opening starts, I'm going to pause it afterwards and see if you see anything that's odd or off. Any of our super fans on here, that's odd or off about the opening to this episode 1, season 1 show. Here we go. All right, I'm just going to pause it there real quick.
The time for decisions
if
has
I
come
can.
and gone.
There it is. Did anybody notice anything odd about that? Driver says, are you doing more than 1 episode per stream? For now, we're going to do 1. We're also going to be putting blocks of episodes on loops. tonight, it's like our first one. We're going to try it with one episode and see kind of how long it takes and what it's like for chat. I know it's Valentine's Day today, and some of maybe the husbands in the audience are looking at their watch saying, when is this going to be over? Because maybe we have some plans for tonight. The wives are probably saying, take as long as you want, show many episodes, it's fine. But I think tonight we're going to stick with one episode. Zombie says, I grew up in the middle of nowhere with Farmer Vision for TV, 3 channels, and every night my family would sit and watch the show religiously. I have no idea what a dream this is to be watching this here. Zombie, it's great to have you. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us. Painting? I didn't wander into the Bob Ross stream again. Do it like the commercial breaks, like when the show is on, says Postman. That's not a bad idea. What's the mug on the right for? Lazy, that's actually the bit mug, which I should probably take off because, you know, we don't really need that right now. That's if people tip with bits or if they follow, a little graphic comes on and drops a little thing into that mug, which we don't need. So, that opening, if you didn't notice, had, if you look at that cast, that's not the cast from season 1. That's the cast from season 2. Right? So this is actually not a season 1 opening. I asked my dad about it because I previewed this episode and I said that's weird. I remember the opening being different early on. I remember my dad did some kind of animation with like spare rib bones. Max, you might remember better than I did. But there's like, he put like spare rib bones and made like, you know, Steve Smith and Pat McKenna and stuff. He wrote that in spare rib bones on like a tree stump and filmed it and then blew them off with a fan and then reversed that and color coded the ribs with like editing equipment because the contrast, the white of the ribs made it easy to do, and he put red or green colors on it and reversed it so that these things would fly into screen and then make the lettering for the captions in the opening. And that didn't really happen here. And again, this is a full cast from season 2. So what he told me was that that's right. Later on they made a sale to PBS, and they redid. They thought they want to, when they sell all this kind of block of seasons to PBS in the States, they wanted them to all look the same in terms of the openings, and so they went back and did the same opening for whatever it was, 4 or 5 seasons that they sold, so that they all looked kind of uniform. So I don't even know if I have a version of episode 1 that has the original opening. I'm not even sure. Max says the sparrow effect is used for titles throughout the episode, so you will still see them. Okay, so you know the opening was different. This problem, the rest of the episode will still have that effect. So we'll watch for that as it progresses. Okay, we're gonna roll it again.
Time for decisions has come and gone. Well, we didn't make any...
I will never unsee the rib thing in the titles now.
So sit back or sit up. Well, pretty much any way you want, because it's really none of my business. But anyway, because it's time for the show like no other shows, to the extent, you know, this is our show, meaning, you know, me, myself, and my uncle, who happens to be the star of the Red Green Show, Red Green.
Thank you, Harold. And a special thank you to our viewers for bucking.
Sorry, just one quick sec. 2 red suspenders. Do you see it? And that is the original crest that he's wearing, which my mom made, I believe. I believe she sewed those together. So we didn't. The crest that's on my channel that came later wasn't in the first couple seasons of the show. That's original crest. 2 red suspenders. They didn't go red-green until after the first season. And what I especially like is my dad goes, no white shirt under the plaid here, under the flannel. Season 1, 1990, chest out, let's go. I'm guessing my mom got a look at this and changed that to please wear a white t-shirt under that. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
For bucking the trend. And speaking of which, Harold, come on over here a minute.
Oh.
Harold is producer, director, and my nephew on the show, and he's got this little machine here, and he's able to really keep things moving along for us.
It's a video effect machine. It goes like this.
Woo!
That way it can
Max,
bail
we need
out
those
of a boring
effects.
segment into a more interesting one. You know, if the need should arise, which I'm sure it does.
Well, anyway, God, we had a heck of a time up at the lodge this week. We sat around, we started discussing what it means to be a real man. And funny, what it came down to was you got to be loud, strong, and smell like gas. And of course, to us, that meant you had to have an outboard motor.
Or
Watching this again, you hear the chainsaws and the gunshots in the background. It makes me think I don't know if you could create this show today with the stuff around guns and that, like just the fact that there's just gunshots randomly going off in the background. I'm not sure you'd get away with that stuff right now.
Or video effect machine.
Well, we decided right then and there we were going to have the biggest outboard motor on the lake, which meant that we had to build it ourselves. Harold, do you happen to know what a 427 cubic inch engine is?
No. When we go to the next segment, we'll have a chance to look it up.
Well, I can tell you what it is, Harold.
Oh.
All right, let me just pause it for a sec. That is the first ever shot of the Possum van that made it onto the Red Green Show. That's the first reveal of it right there. And I can recall, and again, Max, you can fill in the details here. I can recall my dad, we moved to Hamilton. I think it was the summer that we moved into a new house, new neighborhood. It was a nice neighborhood in Hamilton. And my dad painted that van in our driveway with gray porch paint. He painted this giant blue Dodge Ram to look like a possum. And my brother and I were like, we don't belong in this neighborhood. And right now, all of our neighbors are looking at this new family, and they know we don't belong in this neighborhood either. It was quite a way to start being at a new house. Harplex says, what video editing software hardware was used? Was it edited completely digitally? I've always wondered that. I'm not really sure what the editing was, what it was in the first few seasons, Harplex. Maybe Max knows the answer to that, but I'm not exactly sure. I didn't get involved really with the kind of the that kind of stuff ever too much. The editing equipment and that kind of stuff was a part of the show that I never really touched, and especially early on when I was 11 or 12, I would have had no idea. Lazy Penguin says, I collect die-cast cars. Any chance we could get a limited edition Possum van? That would be awesome, wouldn't it? My dad could hand paint them with porch deck paint. That would be awesome. All right, here we go.
Too late. Darn it.
On a clear summer night when the warm summer breeze comes down to the water and rustles the trees, the bunch of us meet there and strip to the buff. Cause boys will be boys and enough is enough. We go
Skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping. Hop and flipping. When nature's calling, we go cannonballing. Our rate rises, the spirit soars. The moon you see might even be yours. Skinny dipping. Slapping my butt on the lake. I wouldn't drink the water.
Oh, now he tells me.
Totally an ad-lib from Pat McKenna there. You can tell he got my dad with that one. Now he tells me. Oh, that could be the ribs right there. That could be the ribs.
What I'm going to show you is how to operate this powerful.
Oh, sorry. I'll take my cam
device.
down.
This right here is it's a belt sander. But I wouldn't advise you sanding your belt with it unless you are really into the celibacy thing. Anyway, let me show you how this works with this little piece of wood I got right here. That reminds me, I wanted to talk about safety goggles. But anyway, there's something else you can do with the sander. It's good for sanding a big flat surface, like a door here. Now with the door, the first thing you have to decide is which way is the grain going. All right. The grain is going that way. So we sand against the grain. Now you hold her level.
I'll just pause it there. I got a couple questions here. Tranquil Dude says, was all the music scenes filmed at the summer camp? I believe they were. Around that little campfire there. I think that's where I think that was one of the summer camps that we got to. I believe that's correct. Scatter says, I was actually about to ask this when you mentioned the ad-lib. How much of the show was improv versus scripted? Did the actors have a lot of leeway in that sense? Yes and no. My dad, I think, considers himself a writer first. And so he did the writing, wrote the scripts, and so he wanted to see them carried through properly. And so there's actually a lot less ad-lib, I think, in the show than people think that there is, because it's written so conversationally, and the actors were good actors who could deliver things naturally. There wasn't as much ad-lib as you might think. Later on, when we started doing CBC tapings 2 every night, we would have like a 7 o'clock show and a 9 o'clock show. And the 7 o'clock show was pretty much exactly on script. And then between the 7 p.m. and the 9 p.m. live shows, we would have a writer's meeting and we would talk about what jokes worked and what jokes didn't work. And we would get, sometimes the actors would come and give us ideas, like, why don't you try this joke? And we would be like, yeah, okay. And then they'd leave and be like, we're totally not doing that. But we would try to come up with different rewrites. And sometimes performers would come up with things that were great. And so there would be some tweaks to it. Some of the scripts for the seasons are on sale at our store website, redgreenshop.com. So sometimes we have fans download scripts and then watch those episodes to see how close those performers actually come. And they come a lot closer than people tend to think. Lazy says, if you move the show to one side, you could probably fit and your cam at the same time since the show isn't widescreen. Yeah, I might have to tinker with that a little bit. Maybe not tonight. Bearskin says, my wife is watching this on the couch and laughing. I may have to join her. That sounds good. Couch is a good time. All right, let's get back to it.
A little bit nose up, keep her steady, and bring her down onto the door. All right, that's right too. I forgot. You have to sand with the grain. So what I'll do is just swing the door around. All right. Now, get the sander going and drop her down onto the door.
Dylan, I think Home Improvement is the American red-green. Other than that, I agree.
I'm obviously not going to be able to finish this job until I get a longer workbench. So, until next time, remember, if women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. You'll want to come right back after the break and hear more about the outboard motor, unless I miss my guess.
Which is quite possible, in my opinion.
There's the ribs.
It is winter. Children's laughter at the front door. They tumble into the house. Boots off, hats off, sweaters, snowsuits, scarves, and mittens are peeled away. Hey, these aren't your kids.
That one's a lot funnier now that I actually have kids.
About building our own outboard motor, we were lucky enough to get our hands on a 427 engine, which fell out of a friend's car when Buster Hatfield did an oil change on it. You know, the insurance paid for everything, so we ended up with the motor. We figured it'd be ideal to build an outboard around that. So next thing we needed was a drive shaft. We decided to use our shower rod because we weren't using it because we don't have a shower curtain, because we don't have showers, because we don't have hot water, because we don't have water. So when you get a motor that size, it's just be wasted on a normal size prop. So we had to think of something a little bigger, like a ceiling fan. So we hooked the whole rig up there and put it all together with the handyman's secret weapon, duct tape. And then we mounted her on the back of the aluminum boat. But you know, golly, the weight distribution was kind of off on that. So we ended up turning the whole front half of the boat into a gas tank.
Well, Uncle Red, next segment's all ready.
Well, I don't care, Harold.
Oh, okay.
What'd you do that for?
Well, you said you didn't care. Make up your mind. Jeez.
Red green?
Oh, here we go. Peter Callahan.
No, it's not an hallucination. Hallucinations don't have professional TV cameramen following them around.
Oh, that's right.
Well, please excuse the mess. I've been changing things around a little.
Yeah, you have changed a bit.
You know what
here.
they say,
Yeah.
change is as good as a vacation, and
Yeah.
I haven't had a vacation in 13 years, and I figured, why not have a change?
Gosh, 13 years without a vacation.
Yeah.
Boy, what, that's something, huh? There's a word for that, isn't there? What is
Yeah,
it?
Dedication?
Sure, yeah.
Dedication and,
Just a quick pause there. Couple things. Number one, behind my picture right now, and you can see above me, there's the 8-track tapes. That's our family singing machine. It was like our home karaoke machine that just ended up on the set. On the other side of my dad, there's a guitar. That's his guitar. I think I still have that somewhere in a room in my house, that guitar. Max can attest to this. We would often show up on set and like our bikes or something we knew was ours from home in our garage would just kind of appear on set. So this maybe reminded me of that. Also, you notice the hat my dad's wearing. I'm pretty sure that season they busted an egg on it. Somebody asked about the hat earlier. This hat is really hard to find. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it is a military Canadian hat. And really hard to find. We can't find them anywhere. If we could, we would, and we'd be selling them at our store. So they didn't have a lot of them. So if you notice, he's wearing, the hat he's wearing, there is like a stain on the top of it. It's from, I believe, an egg breaking on it from an adventure with Bill that must have happened when, you know, we shot that before we shot this. So he's, you know, wearing a hat with a big egg stain on top of it because we couldn't find, I guess, a clean one to wear. All right, here we go.
lonely.
Sorry, man. Alright. No, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
You know what I miss the most?
What?
TV.
Oh,
My
yeah.
favorite TV show.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah.
Welcome Back, Cotter, Hawaii Five-0.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll act out all my favorite scenes, play all the roles, you know?
Yeah.
8 is the enough is the toughest.
I see what you did there, 1944.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Stop yourself from going crazy up here, Gory.
Well, I try to keep myself busy, you know. I
Yeah, sure.
take all kinds of correspondence courses.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Right now I'm learning bricklaying by mail.
Oh,
Yeah? You know Winston Churchill enjoyed laying bricks?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm learning a second language, Beaver. Yeah, it's a great language. I'm picking up from the beavers down by the river.
Okay.
Yeah, and Beaver is easier to learn than German.
Oh.
Whereas German will have 3 genders, Beaver only has 1. So it's a lot like English in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of the words are similar. The Beaver word for thunderstorm, for instance, is...
It's close.
Yeah, do you know there are over 40 different Beaver words for tree stump?
Gosh, sakes.
Oh, it's a rich language, Red, especially when it comes to trees and bark and rutting, or as we say. Huh?
It's not good, eh? Yeah.
Well, and the beavers don't have a word for transmission, for instance.
Well, they don't.
But they don't care.
No, they wouldn't.
No, like the beavers have a saying.
What does that translate as?
Let's chop down this tree and drag it to the river.
Okay, Gord, I think we got to get going here, but thanks a lot for your time. We want to get you back to your work. No, no, it's all right. It's okay. We'll come back another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Saturday then, huh?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah? Great.
See,
Okay. Is 4 o'clock okay with you?
Well, I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
Okay. All right. Just slap your tail in the water.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that.
Bye.
Go down to the swamp in the summertime, cover your thighs with sludge and slime, slap them together in 3/4 time. Now you're doing the marshy bog jig, the marshy bog jig, the marshy bog jig. There's never been a dance ever this big.
Never, never.
You don't need lessons, just join right in, but it helps if you're pretty well hammered.
Oh, Uncle Red, this is great. Excellent. It's mailbag
ribs.
time. You know, but I found the letters a tad repetitive based on the demographics. You know, we're skewing 40 plus. So I've selected some letters from some teenagers. They give this segment more of a now feel to it, you know? You don't have to.
Just read the letters, Harold. will you?
I'll just read the letters, I suppose. Here's letter number 1 from our viewers. Dear Red, I'm a 14-year-old girl who's never seen your show because it's like totally gross. What do you think of New Kids on the Block? Are they excellent or what? Seriously, what's so great about math? I think it's like totally gross. Who's the nerdy guy who says he's your nephew? The guy is like a major doofus. Signed, Amanda.
What's a doofus, Harold?
Oh, a doofus is like a stud, like a really cool, nifty guy. Ah, doofus.
Right, well, Amanda, I don't know if there was a question in your letter. I certainly didn't hear one, but if there was, the answer is no.
That's excellent. Communicating with the young people of today, that's excellent.
Look at the smoke coming out of that thing.
Letter number 2 from another teenage viewer. Dear Red, we enjoy the Red Green Show every week. You never miss an episode. Many teenagers think you're an old fogey, and they make fun of you. But we think the Red Green Show is entertaining and informative about things that concern young people. Signed, Doug Holes, Gymnasium, and IP Daily. That's excellent. You're listening to it, you're getting into the people of today. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Jeffrey just asked, how did you get this? I'm assuming you mean the smoke in the stove. I'm not exactly sure here, but I know in later seasons when I was more privy to that stuff, they actually had a smoke machine behind the set that was connected with a tube to the stove, and so the smoke machine would create the smoke that came out the stovetop. So it wasn't actually something burning in there. In later seasons, there's always would be a gas can on top of the stove just to add to the idiocy of the image. So yeah, smoke machines were our friend.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday I'll be a doofus, eh, Harold?
I can help.
Ah, Bill.
Bill and I went out in the lake there and shot this little film.
Any Rick Green fans in the audience will know that he was in a comedy troupe called The Frantics before this and after as well. I think they continued on. But he did a bit, or they did a bit called Mr. Canoe Head, where a guy had a canoe kind of attached to his head through a freak lightning accident, and he'd walk around with his canoe on his head and knock everything over. So I think it's quite fitting that the first adventure film on our show featured a canoe.
Film. Really wanted to show you what it's like to try and portage a canoe, but of course first we had to land the canoe before you can actually do the portaging. So well, yeah, luckily Bill had the rope. Maybe
that's right, Sacabra. 4 on the floor.
Well, I don't know what he had in mind there. I tried to paddle the dock out to Bill as he's bringing the canoe in. But God, it was a beautiful day. Yeah. Oh, we finally just got him up there somehow. He tried to pull her up this way. Now, interestingly enough, water goes in the back of the canoe, and my God, she gets kind of heavy. I gotta hand it to Bill because you really don't know what's in that water. I know there's a lot of dead cattle in there and some vehicles and. I think a couple of old lodge members are down there. Anyway, we eventually got her up there. I thought we would just pull right up on the dock from the side, a little different angle, and then we'd have it to work with to do the, well, hold up. Oh. Maybe a little wider dock might have been. Anyway, we...
Hang on, was that a little shove from Red? Let's just watch that again.
Well, hold up. Oh.
No, okay.
Maybe a little wider dock might have been. Anyway, we decided Bill just would paddle the canoe up to the beach area and forget about the dock for the time being. You know, the bottom's got a lot of spongy, sticky kind of. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that can happen. Anyway, luckily we have 700 or 800 paddles in that. Yeah, Bill. I don't think we're going to see that one again. But he got her up on shore there. Kind of an interesting technique. Bill and I just kind of get kibitzing there, you know. So now to get ready for the portage, what you got to do is you see what he's saying there is you got to pick the canoe up. So I'm gonna help him pick the thing. Oh yeah, quite a bit of,
It was just a good game, Pat.
quite a bit of stuff in there, you know. But oh. Yeah, he's all right. So next thing we do is we're gonna pick it up from the side rather than from the end, and we got a lot of the crap out of there. And, oh, Bill. You know, they're just not making the canoes the way they used to. They're a lot stronger now. Your old birch bark there would just, I think, collapse under that kind of strain. But it's got the aluminum over the fiberglass.
Jeffrey, I don't think my dad wants us looking back, looking close. I'll let it slide.
You know, he's got a lot of recuperative powers, and we get the canoe up onto his head there, and of course the problem now is he can't see which way the water is.
There's the Mr. Canoe headshot right there.
I'm trying to direct him, you know, back that way, Bill, kind of a deal. But it was a lot of fun. Dangerous, but fun.
It is winter. Down the hill you race, flat on your back, screaming, eyes closed, on a toboggan. Up the hill you go, flat on your back, screaming, eyes closed, on a stretcher.
This part of the show, I'll give Harold a chance to talk about the things that are bothering young people, because they seem to trust him, or at least not feel threatened by him. Harold?
What? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, sex education. You might want...
So just some background here. The first time my dad saw Pat McKenna was, I believe he was part of Second City in Toronto, I think. But he did a high school nerd doing a presentation in front of the class. And my dad saw the hip gyrations and the teeth and the goofy laugh and thought it would be the perfect kind of counter to his low-key, low-energy Red character to have this super energetic testosterone filled or whatever filled he is, kind of thing happening beside him. And so I think these segments that we used to do with Pat were a way for him to kind of show off that character kind of on his own.
You might want to get the kids out of the room, or like, you know, make clearing your throat noises or something like that. Ask them how school went. Get them distracted, right? Okay? Okay, here we go. Sex education. We're supposed to be all modern about it and stuff, because it's like the 90s, right?
The 90s?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so in school, right, they teach us, like, don't be ashamed, don't be embarrassed by it or nothing, you know, it's okay, it's natural. But yet, our parents won't even talk about it with us, and we know they do. We know, because, every time they have an anniversary, they send the kids to the movies for the night. We don't ever do that, right? So we know what you're doing, we do. And they tear all the good articles out of the Reader's Digest before we get a chance to read them. Real good one, like, I was Joe's prostate. That's a good one, too. So my point is, I just want to say that I'm glad I'm not like adults and have hang-ups about, well, you know.
Don't go away. I can't wait to finish my story about the outboard motor.
I'll make sure that he has to.
Staying alive, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Wow, this is certainly one of my favorite.
Now,
User disconnected.
Tranquil
from the
says,
channel.
not sure if Pat's early Herald was either on Hindsight is 2020 or we're all in this together, the red-green story. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure either, but it's pretty sure it's been it's on one of those. I'm not exactly sure which one. This is actually me. When I'm 11, I'm wearing a New York Yankees hat because the Blue Jays haven't won the World Series yet, so I guess I didn't care about them or something. Notice the amazing white turtleneck. Holy mama. And the Club Monaco sweater. So this segment is something introduced where it's like Red is helping out a kid in the community. And why are you saying no way? What? I look exactly the same. Like it's totally me. It's me. It's 100% me. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to see some good acting, like buckle up.
Favorite aspects of being a human being, and that is, you know, not to be quite so selfish and not to just think of yourself and spending time with people like yourself, if there happen to be any, but actually to take some time and spend some of your valuable time with some of the young
I was
people,
pretty smug,
some of the
driver.
great,
No
great
question
young
about
people
it.
of this country.
Red has the shirt, exactly,
maybe
Captain.
You have a nephew, hopefully not like
My mom
Harold.
got to him.
Maybe there's a kid down the street, or you know, maybe just you get involved with the Big Brothers or whatever, or maybe you just, you know, had the bad luck.
We didn't rehearse this. I had no idea what he was going to say either.
I have my friend here, David, and David and I are going to do something together today. Just, you know, buds. We call it buds, huh? Huh?
Yeah.
You know what we're going to do today, David? We're going to play a game of croquet. You know what croquet is?
No, not really.
Oh, no, this is
I believe it.
for me, because not only am I spending some time, I'm teaching him a new type of sport that obviously David otherwise would never be exposed to. David, the game of croquet is you put these little metal hoops into the lawn, and then you have mallets and you knock balls through the hoops. It's an awful lot of fun, and you can hit the other person's ball, and you can just knock the living bejeebers out of it and smash it to bits if you want. You know, it sounds like your kind of game.
Oh, what a laugh.
Golly,
Shake my head.
We're going to have here, Dave, is I believe this grass may just be a tad long for a real good game of croquet. And if we're going to play croquet, we might as well play a good game of croquet, right?
Yeah.
So you know what we need?
What?
One of these.
Sure, postman.
Watch your feet there.
Not yet, driver.
Push it along while I'm doing this, and we'll get the lawn cut.
My son's 11 this spring, so maybe this summer.
All right, wait.
Look at those jeans.
So the beauty of it is you're spending time with a young person, and they're learning all about a whole new game.
That was hard to push.
God, he's gonna be all day doing that.
I looked back there hoping they were going to cut.
This one kind of smells. Is that oil? Is that oil I smell in that?
Oh, Gordon Pinsent. Gotta
Don't
love
ask
him.
me, Red. I lost my sense of smell for oil when I worked on that offshore rig.
You worked on one of them oil rigs? Well, those things are huge, aren't they?
8.5 trillion tons.
Really? Trillion?
And we weren't drilling for oil, we were drilling for gunpowder.
Well, that'd be a little dangerous, wouldn't it? Drilling for gunpowder.
Well, the water helps, and it's under a lot of pressure. This was a deep part of the ocean. I'd say maybe, 20,000 leagues under the sea.
That's deep.
Yeah, well, they will figure it out. A league is over 6 feet.
No, that's a fathom.
Red, a league is a metric fathom.
You sure about that, Hap? I never heard that before.
Anyway, one day I was running the drill. We had maybe 21,000 leagues of pipe going straight down, and I hit the mother lode, pure gunpowder. And she blew. Boom. Not completely, but big. That pipe blew straight up. 21,000 leagues of pipe shot straight up and out into space. Traveling even 15 times the speed of sound, it took 9 minutes for the end of that pipe to pass by me. Noisy? You wouldn't believe the racket. After that, gunpowder mining was declared unsafe.
Where'd the pipeline come down?
Mars.
Nothing personal, Hap, but I'm having a real problem believing this story.
Doesn't bother me if you believe it or you don't. You weren't there.
No, but at least I'm willing to admit it. So as I was saying, we got the outboard motor all mounted on there, and we got the boat all gassed up and everything, but you know, it was still too heavy at the back end, so we put Moose Thompson in there, but then all the weight was up at the front, as it is on Moose, too. So turned out that Buster Hadfield had to be our test pilot.
So he got in there, and we kind of pointed the boat out towards the center of the lake, and took us a while to get it going, though, because a 427 V8 is not all that easy to pull start. But we did get her going, and Buster hit the throttle, and it broke off right in his hand, you know, but not before it had jammed wide open. So it was, I guess, about 3 seconds. That motor was doing 80 miles an hour. Unfortunately, the boat was only doing 75. So she broke off through the transom and started to work her way up, you know, through the boat, up over the seats and in between Buster's legs and so on. And, God, it was really something. It turned out, you know, luckily that Buster only damaged his pride, or I should say his pride and joy. He tried to jump over the spinning blades, and golly, he only missed by a hair. But anyway, if my wife is watching, I'll be coming home, but I think I'm going to stay up and read a little bit tonight, so maybe you could leave the comic section on the fridge. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning us in, and on behalf of myself and Harold, and the rest of the gang up here at the lodge, until next time around, keep your stick on the ice. Sorry, Harold.
Still mowing, baby. All right, and there we go. Nice job, everybody. That was a lot of fun. This show proved my sense of humor was not singular. Right, Battery? That's how it goes. Tranquil Dude with the oh well. That's a very, very good call. My dad used to tell this story about my mom. The very first season of the show, you know, it was the first time that he was sort of doing something without her. They'd always been partners and working together in comedy, Smith & Smith and Comedy Mill. And then my dad went off and did this Red Green show, and she wasn't on set. You know, she wasn't really a part of it. And he always says, you know, they filmed the whole thing, and when it was finally all done, like, he never showed her a script. She never came on set. She didn't really know what he was doing. And when the first episode was done, we had like an airing, and she was there, like this viewing of it, and she was there, and she watched the whole thing. And the way he tells it is, she watched the whole episode, and she didn't laugh, and she didn't smile. And when it was all over, she turned to him and said, "Oh well." So he says that's when he knew it was going to be a hit, because he didn't like the stuff that she liked. So I guess he figured if she didn't like it, it was probably going to be good. Lazy Penguin says, how often are you going to be doing these? We will for sure be doing these every Wednesday night at 9 in terms of a live stream. Depending on the response, we had a lot of people here tonight, which was great. We may have to add a kind of a second time where we're going to be doing live streams. We're also going to be adding to the channel. It'll be maybe not hosted by a person like me, but we'll just run episodes kind of back to back. And maybe Max or I will be in chat just to be able to type back and forth with you or whatever, where we'll just sort of run, you know, half of season 1 or something like that. And you can just come and watch that at your leisure. But for sure, every Wednesday night, we're going to do this. Next week, we're going to do episode 2 and keep going with that. Terry says, I am curious what your friends thought about your dad in the show. Were they jealous of you being on the show? Terry, it was kind of a mixed bag with friends, to be honest, and people that I met. You know, I always felt like in some ways people might be jealous or think that's really cool. Like sometimes I'll meet someone, you know, you're a kid and you're kind of awkward and you want to be cool. So it was kind of a neat thing about me and a neat thing about my brother that we had this kind of celebrity dad. But the flip side of it was sometimes people would treat you a bit weird once they realized that. They'd be like, oh, now you're not just Dave. You're the son of this person. That's now your identity to me. So they would kind of get weird with you, which I didn't like. And also, if someone wanted to tease you, well, now they have a whole, you know, well, your dad does this, you know, your dad sucks. I saw his show. He's terrible, you know. And what am I going to say back to that? You know, well, your dad is a terrible dentist, I heard, sir. You know, just doesn't have the same bite. So it was a mixed bag. I think overall it was great to have. And it was more positive than it was negative, but it was a little bit of both. Yeah, so next week, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, we will for sure be live streaming episode 2. If you enjoyed seeing me in a, I'll say, modest turtleneck tonight, next week, you are going to see my brother Max in a far superior turtleneck. I can't even wait for you to see the sweater that he's wearing in next week's episode. It is fan-flipping-tastic. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. I know it's Valentine's and we took an hour of your time. I appreciate you guys sticking with us and sticking it out. I also wanted to mention that next week we're going to be doing a giveaway at the end of the stream as well. So from time to time, I'm going to have red-green stuff on hand to give away for free to people who are in chat and participating. And next week we're going to do our first ever giveaway. I was going to do it tonight, but I couldn't exactly figure out how to do it. So by next week I'll know. I'm going to be giving away, this is our latest book. It's Red Green's The Woulda Coulda Shoulda Guide to Canadian Inventions. I actually co-wrote this with my dad last year. So David T. Smith, my name is actually in there. He wrote most of it because he does most of the work. But I wrote a couple things that are in there, so I still feel like a co-author. The book is actually autographed by my dad already. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on stream. Autographed by the man, the myth, and the legend, Red Green himself. And then, depending who wins it next week, if they would like, I will further devalue the book by autographing it myself. And I can personalize it to you, and we'll send that to you after you send us your address. So next week we're going to be doing our first giveaway, and I'm very excited about that as well. Lazy Penguin says, at Red Green Junior TV, any chance of us getting Twitch emotes? Some duct tape or possum ones would be cool. Lazy, I've made a couple on the BTTV program, which if you have that installed in your browser, you can see. I made a crest and a red face. In terms of this channel having emotes, we're not allowed to have emotes until we get affiliated. So we need our average views to be high, and we need our follow number to be high, which, if tonight is any indication, I think it's only a matter of time before that happens. Once we get affiliated on Twitch, we'll be allowed to have channel emotes that you guys can use in chat. That's how I understand it. So I'm looking forward to that. Doctor says, very much worth the $5 donation. I love watching this and can't wait for more. Thank you, Doctor. And Doctor was our first ever donation to this channel the other day. Really appreciate that support, Doctor. And thank you for being here and participating tonight. Tranquil Dude says, I didn't find it in the shop. Feb is discount month. That's right. Discount month is this month at the store if you want to go. redgreenshop.com. Everything's on sale. Customer Appreciation Month. Come and buy some stuff. It's good stuff. Okay. Well, that's our stream for tonight. Again, thank you so much for coming. It was great to have you guys. Great to hang out with you. And we will catch you next time. And I guess I'll say it tonight, right? That's allowed. To all of you watching, keep your stick on the ice. And we'll see you next time again. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Take care. Good night.